Welcome back to the channel. My name is Derek Coffey and I'm the founder of FWP. And one of the questions that I've seen growing in popularity recently is if people should start filing for their Social Security benefit early and investing the money that they receive. Now, for a large portion of the population, the answer to that question is no. And that's simply because they don't have enough money saved or they don't have enough money coming in from other sources to cover their living needs in retirement. But for the small portion of the population that does have an excessive amount of savings or an excessive amount of income coming in, then this is a very valid question. In this video, we're going to get into the things that you should be considering if you plan to file for your benefit early and invest that money that you receive. Stay tuned. The only way that this plan is going to work is if you do not need your Social Security benefit to cover any of your living needs in retirement. If you are 100% convinced that all of the other money that you're going to receive in retirement is going to cover your living expenses, then I would give you the green light for this plan. But if you have any doubt that you may need that Social Security money to cover your living needs, then I would want you to reconsider moving forward with this plan. There are other things that you can do based on the numbers to maximize your Social Security benefit and reduce the amount of stress that you're going to feel in your retirement. Now, there are typically two scenarios where this is going to work, and the first of which is if you receive a significant amount of pension income from your former employer. If we look at it by the numbers, let's say we had a couple that were married and they were each due $2,500 a month from their pensions. That's $5,000 a month total, $60,000 per year. If their projected expenses are only $50,000, then I would say they're good to go with this plan. Using your Social Security money and investing it, especially when you don't need it, gives individuals that maybe don't have anything saved for retirement a way to build their assets. It allows them to build something that they can pass on to the next generation if that's the route they choose to take. It also puts them in a position to have a large pool of assets to cover any long-term care needs that they may experience. But by the numbers, year one, they're going to get $60,000 of pension income. If their expected expenses are $50,000, that's going to leave them with over $800 a month that they can do with whatever they please. Assuming 3% raises on the pension income and 3% increases on those expenses, they're always going to be in the positive. If you're in this situation, then by all means, take your Social Security benefit early and invest it. Now, the second scenario where this may be the case is if you have a significant amount of money saved for your retirement. If you worked your entire career and you were frugal with the money that you received and were able to build up a nice nest egg, then you could very well have enough money set aside that you don't need your Social Security money. Now, when I say a significant amount of income, I'm not talking $200,000, $300,000, $400,000. I'm talking something closer to the seven-figure mark. Ideally, it's going to be over that seven-figure mark. Now, for the purposes of the example and keeping everything consistent, we're going to say that you need the $50,000 a year to cover your retirement expenses. If we use the 4% rule, that's going to equate to a nest egg of $1.25 million that you need to have saved. And I know that the 4% rule isn't the end-all be-all when it comes to projecting retirement income, but I like to work with numbers that are a little bit more conservative. If you had the $1.25 million set aside, you multiply it by 4%, that gives you the $50,000 per year that you're going to need. If you're invested in a way that's going to get you that 7% rate of return, then that's going to give you the additional 3% to help your money keep up with inflation. So in year one, you have the 1.25 saved. You need the $50,000 or that 4%. Your account grows at 7%. That's $87,500. And then by the time the year is over, you have $1.28 million set aside. Again, we're going to inflate those expenses at 3% a year. We're going to keep that 7% growth rate. And then at the end of your plan, 28 years later, you have almost $3 million still in your account. Now, again, the 4% rule isn't the end-all be-all. You can adjust these numbers a little bit. Let's say you needed to take out 5%. That's $62,500 the first year. Well, still, at a 7% rate of return, you have $200,000 additional dollars left in your account at age 90. Maybe you don't want to be invested in a way that's going to get you 7%. Maybe you don't have the risk tolerance for that. So if you're invested to where you only get 6%, you still have $400,000 in your account at age 90. So when I say significant, this is what I mean. You have to have a large amount of money set aside to where you have room to change your withdrawal rates and not run out of money by the end of your plan. So if you're in the million plus range, then I would urge you to at least consider this route if it's something that you want to do. If your investments aren't going to create enough income to cover your lifestyle, then don't bother. But if you're in a situation where your retirement expenses aren't that high, but you do have a large nest egg to pull from, then absolutely take your money early and invest it. So just how early should you pull your Social Security benefit? This decision is completely based upon you and your individual circumstance, but for this video, we're just going to do it by the numbers. If you pull your Social Security benefit at age 62, you're going to receive a 30% reduction in your full retirement age amount. So if you were born in 1960 or later, your full retirement age is 67. If you look on your Social Security statement and your full retirement age benefit is $2,000, then you're going to receive $1,400 a month if you decide to pull it at 62. We take that $1,400, we multiply it by 12, that's $16,800 of annual income that you're going to receive from Social Security. If you invest that money and you receive a 7% rate of return, then at the end of year one, you're going to have $17,976 in your invested account. We're going to assume that you're going to get a 3% cost of living adjustment from Social Security. So in year two, your income goes up to $17,304. We add it to what you had at age 62. You still get the 7% rate of return. That's going to give you $37,749 in that invested account. So we're going to carry on with those assumptions until age 90. The 3% cost of living adjustments, the 7% rate of return, get you to just over $2 million in your invested account at age 90. But maybe you don't want to invest this money in a way that's going to get you 7%. Maybe you want to be a little bit more conservative with it. If that's the case, we can see how that affects the numbers. If you invest in a way that gets you to 6%, that's $1.8 million at age 90. Maybe 6% still a little too risky. We'll drop it down to 5%. That's just over $1.5 million. But what if you wait? What if you didn't take it at 62? What if you waited until that full retirement age and decided to draw your Social Security benefit? What is that going to do? Well, I broke it down by those numbers as well. At your full retirement age, you're going to get the $27,822 from Social Security. We're going to invest it, get the 7%, that gets us to $29,769. Assuming the same 3% cost of living adjustments, at age 90, you're going to have $2.2 million set aside in that invested account. We can look at the numbers just the same. Say you only want to get 6%, just shy of $2 million. Maybe you want to get 5%, $1.74 million. So the numbers are still great. But the issue is not everybody lives until age 90. There are plenty of people that pass away before then. So what we really want to know is, when would you break even? If we compare them side by side, assuming the same 7% rate of return, waiting to pull your Social Security benefit until your full retirement age, you break even at age 84. So if you anticipate living until you're at least 84 years old, then this plan is going to work better if you pull your benefit at age 67 and invest it. But that's at a 7% rate of return. The other thing that I want to show you is what happens if you de-risk your portfolio. Maybe you only want the 6% or those 5% rates of return. If that's the case, then this break-even age starts to come down. If you invest in a way that you're only going to get 6%, you're going to break even at age 82. So if you only invest to get that 6%, you're better off waiting till your full retirement age if you anticipate living beyond the age of 82. If you invest in a way that's going to get you 5%, that break even age drops down to 80. So when we typically talk about Social Security benefits, we're looking at life expectancies to make sure that we're maximizing Social Security. But if you're planning to take your benefit early and invest it, you need to take into account not only your life expectancy, but the rates of return that you expect to receive. If you're planning on being a little less risky with your investments, but you also plan on living quite a bit longer than age 80, then waiting until your full retirement age is going to net you more in the long run. Now, if you plan to be a little bit more risky with those investments and you don't anticipate living much beyond age 80, then absolutely take it at 62. But when it comes to figuring out just how early you should take your benefit to invest it, you need to run the numbers. You need to put all of the pieces to your puzzle together. That way you can get the clearest picture for you. So we worked through these numbers and they all look great. They are great, especially if everything goes to plan. But the problem is the real world doesn't operate the same as a spreadsheet. As much as I hate stating the obvious, sometimes it's necessary. And the obvious point here is there are risks associated with investing your money. We would love to have 7% rates of return each and every year. It would just be easier to plan for, but unfortunately, that's not how it works. You're going to have up years, you're going to have down years, and it's the down years that are going to cause more stress. And this stress is even more profound if you're relying on your invested assets to produce the income that you need. Now, if you couple that with the fact that you pulled your Social Security benefit early to invest it and then it immediately lost value, you're going to begin questioning things, and it's going to just create stress that you do not need. Please keep in mind that your retirement is supposed to be as stress-free as possible. Doing things that are going to create undue stress just doesn't make any sense. So if you are not 100% sure that you're not going to need your Social Security benefit to cover your retirement needs, then I would urge you not to follow through with this plan. Now, if you are 100% convinced, then by all means, move forward with it. But I don't want you to do something that's going to create stress that you don't need. I want to thank you so much for tuning in. If this video or any of the other videos that I've put out has provided you value, then hit that subscribe button. If you know someone that's been talking about this and they're pretty gung-ho about it, send this video to them just to make sure that they've taken into consideration everything that they should. But I want to thank you so much for tuning in. I'll talk to you soon.